there's wins, there's like healthy confrontation, boundaries, love of all people. And that is so present right now, within our elite group, our mastery group, and our movement at large, is the love for all people, the love for all people. So in Ecosystem Merger Mastery Monday, there's like different routes that we take. Today, let's focus on mastery. And I know Sean's going to be jumping in. We're going to be having beautiful conversations in just a few moments. So hang with us. So like in your heart, let's just take a second as we step into decibels and nano distinctions of loving all people unconditionally with boundaries. Like, what is the next evolution? What is the next rise of your mastery? Like, what is that for you? Everyone is different. Everyone is focused on a different area of the formula. That's the beauty of the formula, is that it gives us language. It gives us a technology. It gives us a container in which we can grow, rise in our money, our time, and our magic. So for you, like in the chat, and by the way, just a quick shout out to Siobhan, did an excellent job this morning on the mastery call, loving the rise of your leadership with Chris Reel and others. And just thank you for everyone for truly like rising the group, like the group level of commitment is so present in Siobhan. You did a beautiful job. Thank you for rolling through. We had about 30 different wins. We had goals being set. And that's what this is about. It's about having a family, a group. And like for a second, don't like step into like, oh, it's all about lovey-dovey. Listen, we love each other unconditionally with boundaries. We also confront, we tell each other the truth, and we step into conversations to rise all of our mastery collectively. So for you, what is that one area? What is that one area that you're looking to rise in your mastery? And is it in time blocking? Is it in the indispensable elements? Is it in listening? Is it in being more present? Is it in journaling? Is it in shifting your state-focused physiology? Is it your self-mastery? Is it stepping into your zone action? Is it any of the levers of sales and marketing process mastery, which is ecosystem, speaking engagement, sales meeting, sales, disposable income, contribution, and magic? What is that for you? So let's drop a few in the chat so we can begin this momentum of opening the mind to what we're listening for on these calls. Because every single call is an opportunity for you to do a few things. Number one is to listen through the prism of how can I apply this to myself and my business. Another prism is how can I share? How can I share the information that's here to an ecosystem partner, someone on my team, or like maybe to my family? So through those prisms of how can I apply the huddle to myself and my business, and how can I take the information that I'm learning today, let's like drop some things in the chat that we're consciously choosing to rise in our mastery in, a commitment to it. So like, let's take a look in there and let's see what's happening. We have Diana Pereira, adhering to time blocking and tracking how it optimizes my day. Erica, psychology, physiology. We have Jill. I need to level up and honor my commitments to myself. Feel that, Jill. Grace King. Siobhan did a great job, and thank you, everyone. Yes, Grace, Siobhan did do an amazing job. Adam, all of the above. So like, what else is present out there for you? We have Anil, mastering the formula. So for everyone, what is that one section for you? What is that one area that you're looking to rise in your mastery in? And Adam Gugino, as I give you a second to unmute, like, what is that for you? I know you've been practicing, healthy scarcity, loving all people with boundaries. You are obviously, a masterful in all the areas of the formula. But for you, like, what is an area that you're looking to rise in your mastery of self, influence, and process mastery? So AG, what say you?
Thank you for that, Fernando. And the area in which I've definitely been focusing on and seeing a rise in my mastery is the variance of energies. After this past weekend, really dialing into my fun energy and Zeus energy with love and understanding how important. I'll say this: I watched two things on energies. I watched Ellen this weekend, which I don't watch TV very often, and my mom was putting something on, and she's actually always saying, Adam, you never watch TV, just watch something. So Ellen came out for her first episode, and I know Sean has mentioned her several times, and wow, I mean, when you really understand what you're looking for, the way that she was varying her energies from fun to Zeus, to goddess and to aspirational through some really difficult, through a difficult conversation. I think there was things that went on in the news in regard to her organization. I don't know any of the backstory. I just knew that watching her was watching a master in variance of energies, which is again why she's who she is. I mean, she's Ellen. And then it brought me back to Sean in Nani and Nani's home in over the weekend, and it was just remembering Sean and those moments, and remembering how the energies were also so present, and then just thinking about myself throughout the week and conversations, and just being very aware and present to, adding some fun and Zeus energy, which has been there, Fernando, you've been pointing out to me, but at the same time, understanding that Zeus and goddess combined, the way that you are, certainty, how important that is, just all became very present this week. So, and it all really started from that content that was given this weekend on the energies that first day, which, I thought I had a lot of clarity on them. But after this weekend, I realized, wow, how much depth that there is. And again, just really the beginning of that journey for me.
Yeah. So Adam, Fernando, everybody, good morning. Happy Mastery Monday. Beautiful job. AG, loving hearing it. And we are checking in on the final days of quarter number 3 of 2020. As you remember back when there was like this thing coming, and I remember it was February, and I didn't sit. I was going through the airport, and I think it was very early February. And I remember like seeing a guy wearing a mask. I was like, what's this person doing? And it was one of the people in the security gate at the airport, just one. And then I got on an airplane. This guy was like rubbing down his seat and had this like alcohol and was putting a mask on. This is right after the immersion. And I was heading out to the Tony Robbins financial trip, I think to Whistler. So whatever date that was. And I was just like, what's going on? Like, why is this guy rubbing his seat down? Like, is he just like, sort of got this compulsive energy around germs or something? And then within a couple of weeks, it was Tony Robbins' birthday. And I remember people being concerned with me going in just a couple of weeks, because now we're hearing about like Corona. And then within a few weeks from there, my daughter doesn't have her second week of her play. And she's like, oh my God. And like, all of a sudden there's all these cases and people and things. And it just happened like in this like boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden, like the governor of New Jersey is saying we have to shut down Callagy law and all our offices, and everything is closed down. And that was 6 months ago. And here we are, and we're thinking, okay, this will be over in like 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Some people are saying, no, it's going to be much longer. That people are saying, certainly by the summer, everything will be normal again. Like there was like nobody at that point that I knew, at least, that was saying it wouldn't be normal, except my son, Tyler. And my son, Tyler, was like reading all sorts of things. Something came out of the UK early on. He's like, Dad, this is going to go on for like a long time. Like this isn't going away. This is going to be going on for more than a year. And this may very well be going on until there's a vaccine. So I had him telling me this, and he was, he is incredibly in depth in his analysis and the things he reads. And I'm like, I don't know. And then on the other hand, I'm hearing from people saying this is a scam. It doesn't really exist. I mean, it was all kinds of stuff. And then there was the creation, an idea that I had. I'm like, we have to figure out how to support people and how to share with people what we're doing, what's going on. And so we're like, yeah, let's create The Real Raw. And Courtney Epps was on the first episode. And I forget the exact date, maybe Adam or Fernando, you know it. I think it was early April.
April 3rd.
April 3rd. Thank you. So The Real Raw did not exist in March. And at that moment, people were like, oh, okay, let's, we can't have programs anymore. We can't have live events. There's no more programs. And so like, you've heard me say this before, let's start selling PPP loans. Let's start doing, outsource sales for other companies, which is a part of what Unblinded was discussed to be, and eventually we'll have divisions doing, right? But the core of what this is the formula, is a program of acceleration. And I was like, that's not happening. It's not what we're doing. No way, right? And let's just pause. Adam and Fernando, do you remember those moments in early April with the creation of Real Raw? What was going on? What was you, and by the way, this is tying directly into all of you. So stay tuned to watch the tie-in. But Adam and Fernando, take us back to like April 2nd, April 1st. And what were you thinking and feeling yourselves?
I'll jump in, Fernando, on this. And I will say this, Sean, I probably talk about this moment on every single phone call that I have currently. And I remember thinking and saying to myself, there will never be a regret for me walking away from my previous organization and financial freedom and all those things that we've talked about. However, there was massive uncertainty around what was going to happen next. And I will say that every single penny that I walked away from was paid back in full from that date on, simply by proximity to you, your genius around, you're stepping into your leadership, Sean, and providing the certainty around what was going to happen next. And this vertical innovation that was spawned at this time. So yes, that was absolutely a fact. I was very uncertain, and very quickly I became enthusiastic over, and extremely excited about what was going to happen next, and how, although of course this was a crazy time, and massive empathy for people that were struggling through this time, I was seeing a blessing in disguise beginning to unfold. And I also would like to say that you were at that moment talking about August and September and the possibilities of this going on for this amount of time. So it also, as much as it did create, some more uncertainty around it, it also gave me confidence to know that, you had a vision, and you were staying very much on top of what was potentially going to happen next.
Well, thank you very much. And and you know what, Fernando team, I want to see if David Gonzalez is out there, because I want to say something to him today. But Fernando, also, what were you thinking and feeling? Oh, and by the way, do you remember, Fernando, how freaked out Adam would get? He's like, the scoring. We have to make sure the scoring is right. Like they gave that person an 8.7. They're not in the formula. Like what? And it was so amazing to see Adam's love and integrity for the formula and everything. Because in the earliest days, Adam's biggest concern was the integrity of the judging and scoring in the process. And that is who Adam Gugino is, and why at 4:00 in the morning, he's working out. What he's resetting if nobody's watching. Like it was like it's Adam. Do you remember that? You'd be like flipping out over how the score was working.
Do I remember? Yes. If I bring myself back to those,
you freaked out about it this morning.
No,
I love it, and we're gonna get back to tightening the scoring on the Real Raw soon. But Fernando, what were you thinking and feeling in those days of like when live events were shut down? And I'm saying this may go on for a year or more. And everybody's looking at me like I'm nuts, probably, possibly, and doubly thinking I'm nuts, because I'm like, we're going to do this thing called the Real Raw. And then we have the first episode, and it's me and Courtney Epps for like an hour. And then it's me and Rob Gill for like an hour. And then a short time later, I'm like, hey, we're going to have 2 people. And then we do. And then I'm like, we have 2 people and 3 judges. And everybody's like, this is crazy. It's never going to be able to be done like in time. Like, what were you thinking and feeling during those times?
Many things. And as I like just laugh in my heart thinking about Adam and just putting myself back in this place, it's been a minute since I like thought about it. There was moments of uncertainty, and self-mastery has its opportunity to rise and dip. And one of the things that kept me cool, like I guess steadfast, was my commitment to the year of 2020. Like I said, no matter what happens, like 2020, it is like radically unique, insane levels of commitment. Let's just do it. And even though there was all this uncertainty and different dynamics, one thing to echo to what Adam said was there was like a twitch in your leadership. You've never not been in leadership. There was a moment where you're like, I got it. We're going to talk every day at 7 a.m. And we did for like 40 straight days. And it was one of those conversations that like, yeah, let's do this thing called the real raw. And I'm sure, even for Adam and myself, I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure what this is. Let's give it a shot. And you said something last week, and then I'll kick it back to you, and David Gonzalez is here. And you said that innovation and optimization cannot begin until you start doing something. And the real raw is such a beautiful example of that, because it didn't exist. It isn't like we stayed in ideation and we, spoke about for hours about the judges and the timing and like how long and how you were going to start it. And all those conversations we've had over time as we had them over and over and over and over again. So for everyone, it's just a beautiful example of what innovation really looks like. Because if we didn't have the research and development laboratory, if we didn't have the idea, the self-influence and process mastery to get started, we wouldn't be doing, close to 240 real raws a month today, when in April, it didn't even exist. So back to you, Sean.
Yeah. And so in 6 months later, we just come off of a Long Beach Island weekend that could never have occurred without the real raw. In 6 months, we put together what some of those fine folks that were there said was the greatest event they had ever attended. Other people said it was as great as any event they had ever attended. And that was the byproduct of insane action, zone action, and constant innovation. And one of those innovations had to do with this concept. People have relationship capital. And it's like, well, what do we do with it? And how do we create value from it integrously? And so it is a man's birthday. I won't say what number, but it's a special birthday. He could disclose that if he feels like it. And I just want to say to a gentleman who jumped on an airplane and then followed into the ocean and did every crazy thing imaginable. And we're going to talk about his role and how ecosystem merging works as in a real-time format, right? Mr. David Gonzalez. David, brother, happy birthday. Thank you on your birthday for being here with us. And I'm immensely grateful for you. And yeah, man, how does it feel to have your big birthday?
I'm fine with it. It's my 5-0. I don't feel 50. And when I tell people that, they're like, "What? I thought you were in your 30s or 40s."
David's 50?
Yeah, man.
What?
Right.
And David, so this is for you. Happy 50th.
Oh man.
Happy birthday.
You, thank you. So let's bring some value. What would you like me to share?
Yeah. So you had a tremendous amount of relationship capital, right? And we're like talking about like, hey, like let's do something. And David became the original. We had some other amazing people that were on, but we hit like a 4-week stretch, and it could have been 5 weeks, it could have been 3. I don't know, where it was like, hey, so how did you get here? David Gonzalez. How did you get here? David Gonzalez. How'd you get here? David Gonzalez. How'd you get here? David Gonzalez. And it's like Lance Armstrong's coach, who also coached the guy, David Asbury from Bulletproof Coffee. It's like best-selling author, like, coach to, whomever. Like, it was just this sequencing of like amazing people. And then, we had beautiful relationships. So then, one day I have on like, Chris Crone and Joseph McClendon, and David's got a few judges on, like, and all of a sudden people are watching, and the real raw is like a thing. Like, and it wasn't a thing like on national television, but in certain ecosystems, it became a thing. And it became a thing because we had an idea and took action. And then we innovated and said 2 people, not just me and somebody. And then I'm not the judge. It's 2 people. And then like we have judges. And then we have a role player. And then there's like Vivian Guzman. But before those things happened, there was really cool, successful, talented guests. There was like me yelling and screaming at somebody on there who's talking about pitching, hooking, closing, and saying integrity-based human influence like wasn't a thing. And it needed to be like Jordan Belfort straight line selling. And like there was craziness, there was action, there was like comments and people. And David, you were at the epicenter of that as the generator. And I don't remember how long it was, David. Like how long a period would you say where you were like, what was that like stretch where it was like, yeah.
It felt like, because it was right in the midst of when Corona was starting that, I mean, like when we were all on lockdown and we didn't know what it was going to look like. It felt like it was about 2 months, but I don't know. It was some, at the shortest, it was 3 weeks. At the longest, it was 2 months, but it was like, time warp and it was just such a magical time. Yeah.
Einstein's theory of relativity. And so, yes, awesome and amazing. And I just want to thank you on your birthday for your amazing contributions to something that's affecting the lives of many, if not all of the people listening right now. But many of the people listening right now are being affected by our pioneering decisions in the early days. And thank you for putting relationship capital, like it was an ecosystem merger where David's like, yeah, I'm going to bring people on and we're figuring stuff out and we're going to make things happen. But watch this mic drop moment. It started with David coming on himself.
Yeah.
So do you want to take it just for a minute, David, on what, so for those, just gaining some optics on the power of the real raw, you came on this thing, you didn't know what it was. And then you started listening to 30 Days to Influence Mastery, had the experience, and what was, your awakening, and why'd you fly to Long Beach Island, in the middle of all this with your birthday coming up?
Yeah, this is a really cool story because when I got invited onto the Real Raw, I was resisting it hardcore because I'm such a heart-centered person. And when they said, oh, dude, this is like a contest to see who has more ability to influence. And I was like, I've done jujitsu, and that, to me, competitiveness feels like, just more, I guess now that I have the wording for it, it felt more Zeus. And I was used to connecting at a goddess level. Now, I didn't have the word for it. I called it organic before. And like just this like type A, like kind of asshole energy is what I kind of felt like. I was like, what? This is weird. And so then when I finally said, okay, I'll do this, I found out, I was like, okay, well, I want to win. So tell me more about this 30-day mastery program. And because I run an affiliate management agency, I've probably got couple $1 million worth of information products for free because people let me review them. And it was like, no, we don't give this away. I don't like, it's, there's a money back guarantee. So if you want to buy it. And so I bought it. And I was like,
and when was the last time you had purchased an info product before that? Because again, I think it's in like $100,000 masterminds for free, but guys.
Yeah. The last time I had purchased an info product was at least 10 years prior. I mean, just because people always like, because I know everybody in the info space, in the info market. So anyway, I went through this thing and convinced, I think, 5 or 6 people to buy the 30-day program without trying. I was just talking to them about it because I'd always thought sales, my job was the connector, the supporter, the door opener, so that then I could bring in at the time I called it the closer, the person that knew how to negotiate, that knew how to deal make, that knew how to now, to set up value agreement formation. And anyway, here we are, so many, I want to say years later, but that's in Corona time. And one thing that's present for me is the power. If we want to talk about small hinges that swing big doors, because of you, because of the Unblinded community, a bunch of people kept saying, you need to meet Peter Swain. You said, oh my God, Peter Swain, Dave Gonzalez, like you guys are cut from the same cloth. And so he reached out to me. Also Dimple said, you guys need to meet. So we kept getting, trying to get on the call, and we got on the call, and it was just this giant love fest. We got on a second call, and at the end of it, I was like, dude, how can I help you? And he said, well, I went to the premiere of the Operation Underground Railroad movie, and there's this, Tim Ballard and Tony Robbins kept saying, there's something so horrendous that they cannot be spoken. And they said that 2 or 3 times. And then about a third of the way through the movie, Peter had to stand up and leave so he could vomit, like literally. And he called his wife, and he said, and she lives in the UK, and he said, sweetheart, please put the children on the phone. And she's like, it's 3 a.m. here. I'm not going to wake them up. And then Peter says, I need to speak with my children. And, she woke them up so that he could just let them know how much he loved and appreciate them. And then he told his wife, I can't go back in there because it's just too horrifying. And she said, you have to go in there. And when he walked back in, there's this scene where this little girl goes, she snaps twice and then claps her hands, kind of like patty cake. Yeah. And he has this immediate vision. And he says, brother, what I want from you is I want you to put me in touch with, because you're so connected, I want you to put me in touch with Alejandro, the director of the movie, or Tim Ballard, or someone who can turn that into a meme, like the Snapple, or like the once you pop, you can't stop, or the Intel sound. And I was like, oh, I know who to connect you with, Nick Nanton. So I get on the phone with Nick Nanton. I was supposed to be on the phone with him on the Friday when we were doing this past weekend when we were at Long Beach Island, and I had to move it to this Friday. So I got on the phone with Nick, and I told him what Peter wanted. And Nick says, oh, I was just at Tony's house with Tim and Alejandro yesterday because we needed to borrow Tony's jet to go save 10 women, 10 teenage girls from sexual slavery. And Tony said, yeah, borrow my jet. We went in and did that. And so he said, I cannot believe I've never thought about this. So because of you, we might be indirectly saving tens of millions of sex trafficking victims, because the light that I saw happen on Nick Nanton's face when he saw that, like, oh my, that is so good. Because then Peter said, I can see Matt Damon in a quiet video just going, and then pointing down to wording that says there's something so horrendous they cannot be spoken, and you click on it. So instead of the ice bucket challenge, you get, and everybody's doing that, and it's just like, so thank you for the ecosystem that you've created that's based on love, that's based on just like making the world what all of us want it to be. So thank you.
No, well, amen, brother, and love what you're sharing, and we're all part of it together, right? Doing all this. And so thank you. And just, the final question, and then I want you to enjoy your birthday. So for everybody out there,
yeah,
to pre-frame this, you're working on things right now, people out there, everybody, right? They're working on things. And in 6 months will surely pass. A lot of people in personal development say that statement, like, no matter what, like 6 months, God willing, we're still alive and healthy, 6 months is going to pass. Like I can believe, because I have an understanding of the formula, but for many, it would be impossible to believe that in October, we're going to run 100 Real Raw opens, right? 100 Real Raws. And that number, I am very confident a year from today, will grow to as many as 100 or 1,000 a day. We'll run thousands in the month of October 2021, right? God willing that, we're here, right? And so the question is, as you think about each person out there, your ecosystem merging, your steps, just think about what we just described, creating a company with hundreds of people involved in it, on calls, on huddles, on action steps, on speaking, on growing their business, on increasing their influencing skill set. All that happened in the middle of a pandemic when everybody said that, like, this business would have to be over and other businesses like it. And I honor, like, the work of Tony Robbins, and I honor people who've stood in the space of this time. I honor you, because you doing the Real Raw and Real Raw Opens are you standing in the gap and leaning into this space that other people would call the winter and death of the business of human acceleration. And it's been the exact opposite here. And so I honor you and just think these 6 months will pass. And where will you be in 6 months? And David, from time we met, different events, different things, had a lot of conversations about a lot of things. I'll drop this footnote. So we had a number of different stops and starts about David and us and what to do together. And that process is beautifully ongoing, but that's also a part of a follow-up process, that it's like, we're innovating, we're progressing, we're innovating, right? And when brilliant people who are heart-centered, right? And David is brilliant, right? And you are brilliant, right? In different ways, right? That it doesn't end, because it doesn't go like way A, way B, way C. There's like innovation, when there's value to be unlocked for both sides. So that's point number one. My question, David, is, as you've been here and you experienced the Long Beach Island weekend, what's happening? I haven't answered this question yet. So you knew the formula, you watched things on video. When you experienced the weekend, the integration of content with the energy, the dynamic, the community, what was there for you, if anything, that was unexpected, that was available around the formula for you and yourself, if you don't mind me asking on your birthday?
What was there for me was, there were so many things, but number one was your embodiment of leadership in a way that I don't know that I've ever seen, Sean. It was your embodiment of leadership through playfulness, through Zeus, but a loving Zeus. It's interesting. One of my most poignant moments was your explanation of when you decided to buy the beach house, and your nani, your grandmother, who's arguably the most influential person in your life, pulls you aside and says, no, like, you're not ready, like, don't do it yet. And for you to explain the Zeus in love, to say to her, put your hand on her shoulder and say, Nani, I got this. That was like, I didn't know that Zeus could be done like that. And so that embodiment, like, I've been in behind the scenes of a lot of workshops, events, coaches, trainers that put on things, and they're almost always some sort of like strong alpha, harsh Zeus energy. And I never felt that from you. And people follow willingly, desirably, and like, so the embodiment of fun, the embodiment of aspiration, your leadership embodiment. And this isn't like, I'm not trying to make this about the Sean Callagy show. It's just, that was one of the most present things for me. And then the second one, which I talked about the day after, which is the biggest takeaway for me, was, when somebody was asking about, oh, how do I know if I'm in my head? And when we were doing the 4 energy exercises, the thing that kept stopping people from being able to do the exercises well, or to rock at them, was that they were in their head. And so we moved to that conversation, and you could have probably trained on how to get out of your head, or how to know when you're in your head, for hours, but instead you said one phrase, and that will go with me for the rest of my life. And that is, when you're in your head, you're destroying your dreams. And I'd never heard that. And so, it's just so poignant, so simple. And there's a time to be in your head, and that's when you're studying or practicing. But then when you're in the game, you're in your body. And if you're feeling anything other than movement forward and momentum, then you're not in your body. And it was like, woo, like, I got this. So did I answer your question? And I'm happy to keep going.
You certainly did. And my wish and hope for you on your beautiful 50th birthday, with your amazing and lovely wife and daughter, that I'm immensely grateful for, that were comfortable with you, or you came, right, supporting you in coming to New Jersey last weekend. I'm immensely grateful to them. And I wish you, being in your heart and your body, all day on your birthday and every day going forward, brother. And I know that you love people unconditionally with boundaries. So love you, bro. And
love you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam, final, brother.
Yes, thank you so much.
Real quick, it's also Ruth's birthday, just FYI.
It is Ruth's birthday. Let's bring Ruth up for a quick sec then. We get Ruth live. Adam, let's go final.
Yeah, so my final, Sean, I think you remember too, I would be remiss not to point out what in those moments of, learning of what was happening in the world, I came on a huddle and you invited me to say that I was feeling that, yes, we all are. Well, this is the first time in history that we are all writing our story and our autobiography. And during that moment, and everybody is going to have this chapter in their book. So what are you, doing during this time? And that was a big part of, what was allowing me to really step into what we were doing and really focus on, like you said just a few moments ago, where will we be in 6 months? We will be through this, and what will we, when we look back and what we did during this time, what will those choices have been? So thank you so much.
And Adam, brother, Fernando, I cannot thank you both enough for your belief, for your trust, for your seeking of truth in this. And we're all perfectly imperfect. And like, it's extraordinary what you've done and what all of you have done. Like, for some of you, you run more Real Raw Opens already than some people have done podcasts in their life. And it's happening. And the improvement and the acceleration is incredible. And where we will be in 3 months is somewhere. Like, we will be somewhere at the end of October. You will be somewhere at the end of this week, right? God willing that we're alive and healthy. You will be somewhere. Where will you be? Where will you be? And will it be progress? Real progress for your dreams in the 7 levers. Yes. And we have Ruth yet?
Yes, I am here.
Happy birthday to you, Ruth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, all right. So awesome. So Ruth, let's hear what's on your heart for your birthday and a birthday commitment from you.
Oh my gosh. So I am in Pennsylvania with my family. My very first nephew got married, and it was so amazing to be with my sisters and my mother again. I have 4 sisters, and my mom is like our 5th sister. And we just had amazing weather, and the wedding was just filled with love. And, COVID, we didn't know if it was going to happen. So that was amazing. And I'm 59.
Boom.
And, yeah.
Ruth, I'm not joking. Now listen, I can't see, right? So I'm not gonna lie and be like, you look so young. Like, right? You feel and sound so young. I would have thought, if I was guessing, I would have thought you were 42 to 45. Would have been my energetic guess. I'm just being super transparent. So that is extraordinary.
Sean, I have 20/20 vision with my contacts, and I would never in a million years guessed 59, ever.
Right. So
thank you.
Extraordinary. So congratulations. And what's a quick birthday commitment, so we can take this sucker home today? Birthday commitment from Ruth to yourself, to the world.
Yeah. So I would just say, quickly stay in that youthful energy and stay with the gifts that Chinese medicine has brought me, which is how I can look so young. So offer that to the world in a big, broad, beautiful, foundational way. So thank you.
Amen, Ruth. Happy birthday. And you are awesome. Love you. Amazing. Great job. Fernando, final.
I love this team. Adam, I love you. Sean, I'm grateful for your leadership. Unblinded Movement, David Gonzalez, Ruth, happy birthday. It is the last few days of September. What are we going to do with it? Before we think about what the next 3 months are going to look like, let's step into what the next 3 days are going to look like. From all of us, love y'all, and back to you, Sean.
Yeah. Trajectory Tuesday coming up tomorrow, anchoring on this. How do you prioritize not making things better than they are and not making things worse than they are? And how is that impacting your trajectory today? The prism of your looking at things truly, truly in reality without distortion. Have a beautiful Mastery Monday. Love you guys.